All right, well, what about comparative studies, comparative effectiveness studies of meditation? You might say this is great, but do all meditations do the same thing? And that was a question investigated by these authors who did a systematic review of all the published literature on EEG changes with various meditations. This came out in just about 2 years ago, in 2010, fairly recent. Now, there's a lot of studies on EEG changes with various meditations, and they kind of organized the literature into 3 forms of meditation. And that varies with level of cognitive control. Cognitive control, our colleagues in behavioral science tell us, means work, mental work or mental effort. So in this category of focused attention meditations, that's when you're focusing on a sound, on a mantra, on a visual object, on your breath. You're putting forth mental effort to concentrate. And that concentration, which is a common traditional kind of meditation, trying to empty your mind of thoughts is another example, has a certain common EEG pattern in the 20 to 50 hertz range or the gamma range. The second kind of meditation that's been studied and reported in the literature has been called open monitoring. It is intermediate on the scale of cognitive control. That means these people are working less than these people, although there's still mental activity. And this mental activity is around monitoring. So I'm sitting here watching my thoughts go by. I'm observing my breath. I'm observing the environment. I'm observing myself. This process of observing or monitoring, which is common in some of the Buddhist meditations, common in mindfulness-based meditation, which is one of the popular meditations these days, is an activity, although again, less activity. This kind of meditative activity is associated with theta output in the 4 to 6 hertz range, according to the people who study those forms of meditation. The third kind of meditation has the least cognitive control. Translated, that means it's the easiest, least effort. The practitioners call it as effortless. The scientists call it automatic. There seems to be some neurological reflex that, when turned on, allows a person to experience this state of quiet inner mind, or least excitation of consciousness. So this automatic self-transcending means this automatic settling down of thinking activity, which is different from monitoring and different from concentrating, contemplating, concentrating. This neurologically has more of the alpha pattern in the 8 to 10 hertz range. And the EEG specialists tell me that this is not any old alpha, this is alpha 1 activity, and apparently that's important, would you say? All right. The main point here is that there are EEG signatures that correspond to different practices. Different meditations have different brain effects. That's the main point. Different central nervous system effects that can be objectively measured and verified and quantified. And for the purpose of today's discussion, which is on brain-heart, that may mean there are different effects on the cardiovascular system. And we'll look at that data to see if that's true.